is number one, a way of ensuring that all parts of the country get heard, even the more sparsely populated parts, who may have different policy views and different values.
Why do we care that they're heard?
Because we're a republic, Mark, and not a democracy. I thought we'd settled this, and as a result, we need to care about the minority as well as the majority, and the Electoral College does protect that. But as important, it protects against voter fraud. I mean, I grew up in Cook County, Illinois. I was very familiar with the Daily Machine. I was a prosecutor. I was a Cook County State's attorney. I was very used to Chicago politics, Chicago corruption, Illinois politics, Illinois corruption, which they say tipped the balance towards Kennedy in the 1960 election. So the thing is that if you have a national popular vote, you can steal votes from anywhere and run the vote count up. And in fact, you'll never get finished with recounting. It would go on forever. The thing about localities, the Electoral College does create firewalls, and so that only individual states, and you can steal as many votes as you want from Chicago, and it's not going to give Illinois more electoral votes than they otherwise have to give. It's a fantastic firewall against voter fraud, and it allows us to have outcomes of elections known within a few days, at worst, of the election being held. Otherwise, it would be like the Iowa caucuses, where you might never know who the winner of a particular election was, because they're just going to keep counting and recounting.
Mm-hmm. But isn't there also this idea that you can't have the cities, kind of your point, you can't have the cities control the whole country? I mean, the cities ought to participate, but as an example, we have farmers. We can't eat without farmers. And if they're not represented, just because they're more rural states, more rural areas, then their interests aren't represented in Congress either. Or different kinds of industries, commercial fishing industries, and so on. My point is this: you can't have the top 10 metropolitan areas in the country running the country, because you cease to be a country and you cease to have all that kind of diversity that's taking place.
And why not? Because you hear the coastal elites making fun of the rubes in the middle, making fun of them. What does that tell you? That tells you we're not all the same. If they were all the same, if they had the same values and if they had the same sensibilities as the coastal elites had, coastal elites would not be making fun of them. There's diversity here. So you need to protect everyone. And a Republican form of government is needed to protect we the people, each and every one of us, not a majority of the people and not a privileged minority of the people, but we the people, each and every one of us. And that's why each one of those parts of our structural constitution, supplemented by enumerated rights, is how the rights of each and every one of us are protected.
Doesn't it also help keep the peace, the Electoral College? In other words, my point is everybody has a say. Now, you mean it's not exactly the same say, that may be weighted a little differently, but everyone participates. You want to be president of the United States, you have to go to Iowa. You don't just camp out in 5 cities, something like that. So people don't feel completely left out of the process.
There is a serious problem of alienation if, in fact, some people start to feel like they're under the heels of the others, and then society can break down, civility can break down, especially when people are arguing against civility. Civility can and will break down.
So this movement to end the Electoral College, they call it this national vote movement, or something to that effect.
Right, the national popular vote.
Is that constitutional? Close question, isn't it?
It really shouldn't be that close a question, because it's a compact or agreement amongst the states, and the Constitution requires that any compact among the states be consented to by Congress, and the national popular vote initiative that is being enacted by different states do not include congressional consent. So that by itself is a constitutional problem with it.